Have you ever wondered why we forget things? From misplacing our keys to forgetting a name, memory lapses are a common part of our daily lives. But why do they happen? The answer lies in the intricate workings of our brains. Forgetting is not just a simple slip. It's a complex process involving various factors like decay, interference, retrieval failures, and more. It's a fascinating topic, researched extensively by psychologists and neuroscientists. So let's delve into these reasons and understand why we forget. Firstly, there's the decay theory. This concept suggests that our memories are a bit like unexercised muscles. If we don't flex them regularly, they can fade or even decay completely. Picture this. You learn a new word in a foreign language. If you don't use it often, your brain might decide it's not worth keeping around, and the memory of that word weakens, eventually disappearing. Now let's move on to the idea of interference. This is when one memory disrupts the recall of another. It's like trying to listen to two conversations at once. For instance, the memory of where you parked your car this morning might interfere with the memory of where you parked yesterday. There are two main types of interference. Proactive, when old information disrupts new, and retroactive, when new information disrupts old. These two factors alone can greatly impact our ability to remember. Next, we have retrieval failure. Now this is interesting because it's not about the memory being lost, but rather about being unable to access it. Imagine your mind as a vast library, filled with countless books of information. Retrieval failure is like knowing you have a particular book, but not being able to locate it on the shelves. The absence of cues, a change in context, or various other factors can make it difficult to pull that book, or rather, that memory, from the shelves of your mind. Following closely is encoding failure. Here the problem lies not in the retrieval, but in the initial storage of information. It's like trying to save a document on your computer without hitting the save button. If you don't pay enough attention to the information, or it's not properly processed during encoding, it may not make it to your long-term memory, making recall a challenge. So the way we store and retrieve information can significantly affect our memory. Sometimes forgetting is intentional, as in the case of motivated forgetting. This interesting phenomenon occurs when we deliberately forget or suppress memories due to their emotional or psychological significance. Imagine a traumatic experience or a painful event from the past. Our mind, in an attempt to protect us, can push these distressing memories into the background, making them harder to retrieve. It's a kind of self-preservation mechanism, helping us to cope and move forward. Now let's shift gears to another reason we forget: disuse. It's quite simple, really. If you don't use it, you lose it. This applies to information or skills that aren't regularly applied or practiced. For instance, that high school French might be a bit rusty if you haven't been practicing over the years. These factors show how our emotions and habits can influence our memory. It's not always about the memory's strength, but also how we interact with and use that information. Lastly, we have more severe causes of forgetting, like amnesia. There are two main types: retrograde and anterograde. Retrograde amnesia is a condition where individuals forget events and information from their past. This can be due to a range of factors like head injuries, neurological conditions, or emotional trauma. Anterograde amnesia, on the other hand, is when individuals have difficulty forming new long-term memories after a particular event or brain injury, often due to damage to the hippocampus or related brain regions. Apart from amnesia, our memory is also influenced by natural memory limits and biological factors. Human memory, indeed, has inherent limitations, and not everything can be remembered. The brain prioritizes certain information while forgetting less relevant details to maintain cognitive efficiency. Biological factors, including aging, neurodegenerative diseases, and drug use, can also affect memory retention and lead to forgetting. These factors show how our physical and biological conditions can impact our memory. In conclusion, forgetting is a complex process. From decay and interference to retrieval and encoding failures, our minds have various mechanisms that may lead to forgetfulness. Motivated forgetting and disuse further illustrate how our brains selectively remember information. Conditions like amnesia, inherent memory limits, and biological factors also play significant roles. Yet it's important to remember that forgetting is a natural and adaptive aspect of our memory system, helping us filter out the irrelevant and focus on the essential. So the next time you forget something, remember that it's just your brain doing its job to maintain cognitive efficiency.